Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to episode 4 of the speedrunning maxing series. I won't lie, I will say I got a lot of progress done, or at least I feel like I got a lot of progress done since the last video. I did spend most of my time doing artifacts, like I said. So this video is pretty much just going to be me doing artifact thieving and giving my thoughts on the overall skilling method and all of that good stuff. To begin, since my last video where I left off, I actually realized I did not finish 75% favor of Piscolarius, which I need in order to actually get the task of an artifact for whatever the guy's name is. So to start this video, I'm going to be digging up worms from the sand for 30 to 75% Pisc favor. I don't really remember how long this took, but it was actually really fast. Basically, I spent the first 20% of the favor. I used the scroll from the first quest that you get onto this. And then I did the actual quest for the 10% favor, which landed me at 30%, which already unlocks this method. So unlocking everything was really quick. Okay, so before continuing with this video, I would like to address something. I did get a comment on my last video, and honestly, probably on my first and second video as well, asking many questions like show your time played, show your stats, and all of that stuff. And I finally sat down and realized like there's literally no reason behind me not showing my stats every video. I think really what happens is I get so caught up in actually playing the game in my account that I kind of forget it. I'm sure you guys could tell by now, but I mean, I've never edited YouTube videos. I don't usually watch YouTube and all that stuff. So all this stuff is kind of new to me. However, I do want to start working on that. So starting this video in the future, I will be showing my stats every single video in the beginning and end. I would love to do weekly videos until this is done. However, it will really depend if I have content or not. For example, if I'm doing one skill for 100 hours, I don't know if I can make a video that's actually interesting to watch in that time. But that being said, if I did end up making it weekly videos, you would have like a week by week progress, so you have an actual feel of how long this is taking IRL time as well, which in my opinion is really neat. The other question I'd like to address are the questions asking about my playtime and seeing it every video. So I mentioned in my first video or second video, I don't remember which, I mentioned that I don't want to show it every single video to leave some suspense and /or prevent people from copying exactly what I'm doing. I'm not the most micro person, which basically means, when I use the term micro there, it basically means when it comes to quick intensive stuff, I'm good at it, but short term, like maximizing best rate in like 1 hour, I'm not the best person, and I would love for people to beat me using kind of their own method, because I'm more of a macro player in the sense that I can play like long term, longer hours, but when it comes to min-maxing like 199, like getting that extra 10k XP an hour for 20 hours, I'm not your guy for that. So I do have a plan for showing my time played throughout the series, and I actually will talk about that later on in the video because I do plan on doing that with potentially my next video. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, I'm just about to finish up 75% favor, and then we can jump right into multi-skilling / artifacts / herb / fire making / thieving, whatever you guys want to call it. Heck, it could even be the hash slinging slasher for all we know. Hopefully at least one person gets this reference. There we go, 75%. Okay, so here we are at thieving artifacts. Essentially what this method is 0 time thieving XP. So while this method isn't directly better at thieving experience an hour than blackjacking, it's better due to the fact that I can also gain fire making XP during it. Basically, I run around thieving artifacts, and while running, I have to light logs and get good fire making XP while dodging all of these guards. I'll be very upfront. This is the first clip I actually have because when recording earlier on, I would constantly rage and I would get caught by a guard. And when you get caught by a guard, you literally lose like a full 4 or 5k thieving XP. It's infuriating. So it took me a while to get used to this method, so here's the first like decent clip I have of it. Overall though, I would say learning this method was fun. So the scary thing about this method that I find both fun and infuriating is that it's not like any other skill in the sense that, like for example, when I did 200 mil all on my level 3, the hardest skill I had to do really was rune crafting or mining. Rune crafting, basically I ran my own alts to ZMI altar, which you can't even do anymore. But basically when I was doing that, I mean, the learning curve was as simple as you do 1 hour, you get like 80% efficiency. You do another hour, you get like 95% efficiency, and you're kind of already there and satisfied. And it was the same thing with mining. You just kind of jump in and you already know what you're doing after an hour or two. But the thing with this method is I practiced like an hour and a half on an alt before doing this, like just the thieving part, because I didn't want to get caught by the guards. And I'm still getting caught like 20 hours later by the guards. It's insanely infuriating. And I feel like the learning curve is like super, super high on this. So like I said, the reason I didn't light fires while learning this on my alt is because I assumed the lighting fires part would be the easier part. And to be honest, I wouldn't say that that was a wrong assumption. The harder part is 100% navigating around the guards and kind of timing when you can and can't make it. But yeah, I mean, in conclusion, this method is definitely scary in the sense that, like, I'll do a great hour and I'll be so happy with my rate. And I'll reset my tracker, do another hour, and the next hour is like 5 to 10% better. And I'm just like, how far off the ceiling of like max rates actually am I? Because no matter what happens, every time I get it like a really good hour, I end up beating it by like 5 to 10%. So I'm kind of like wondering, like, where is the ceiling on this method? How big is the skill gap? But yeah, anyways, the goal is to sit here until I'm 85 fire making with the 0 time thieving. And then I am going to switch to woodcutting and do some 1.5 tick teaks with Infernal Axe. That way I can get 90 fire making practically 0 time and essentially jump right into redwoods for better fire making XP rates. So like I mentioned of me barely hitting good XP rates, it kind of shattered any confidence I had in myself of being a good skiller in this game. So I've never done 1.5 tick teaks. And I did think it would be like mining, or like I mentioned earlier, like mining or rune crafting, where I just do an hour, I get 90% efficiency, and then I do another hour and I'm satisfied with my rate. But because this shattered my confidence, I decided to make a last minute decision to not try 1.5 tick teaks until I test it on an alt first. And of course my alt does not have them planted, so I have to wait 3 days. I don't want to wait 3 days doing nothing, especially when I'm this motivated to play. So I figured why not do Herbifax at 85 fire making. So I'm about to hit 85 fire making right here, as you're about to see. And as soon as I hit 85, I'm going to immediately switch to herblore. There we go, 85. Now the dreadful moment of figuring out if Herb's going to be better or worse than fire making. By the way, I realized I never really showed my rates for fire making and thieving, so this was around the higher levels slash when I was slightly better. But honestly, by the time I finished Herb, I think I realized this is still a really shitty hour, at least in terms of thieving XP an hour. So these were roughly the rates I was getting, but you can add or subtract 5 to 20% honestly from it if you want to think what it would be like if somebody was already really good at this and starting it. I mean, I honestly do look forward to doing fire making and thieving again, but that won't be happening until after 90 fire making through woodcutting, so I have a while to go. Thankfully, due to the fact that I already did so much fire making and probably the fact that Herbler's obviously more AFK than lighting logs, learning this method didn't take me nearly as long to get the hang of. Normally this method, as known in like the HLC community, you normally have a stackable ingredient where you're trading, you're going to the bank once a lap. Obviously, there's no stackable ingredients until you hit like level 77 or whatever level stams are. So I got a friend and we were testing like how often it was to trade twice per lap. Like I'll trade my alt once and I'll trade him once per lap. And it did end up being pretty viable. I mean, I was overall happy with the XP rates I was getting. You can note that the thieving XP is kind of low, but I mean, like I said, I was trading twice per lap, so I wasn't really expecting perfection. So I kind of realized at this point I should just pay for a runner. It'll only be like 6, 7 hours until I end up hitting the level for stams, which won't be the end of the world. So I did end up using a runner all the way until then. However, as soon as I hit the stams, I learned some new information. You cannot run and make stams. I don't know why, but the action stops your character. So once I figured this out, I had to go right back to 1414s until I hit level 81, where then I could boost to level 85 for Ancient Brews, which are the most useless pot in the game. So as soon as I hit 81 Herb, I jumped immediately into those with Botanist Pies. Honestly, this method has been so fun, and by here, I was generally getting insane rates, like I mentioned earlier with the fire making, where I was literally doubting any rates I've done in the past because my rate felt so high doing this. I mean, these pots give more XP each than brews, and they have a stackable ingredient. I think that's just insane. With these rates shown here, I'm 100% going to be prioritizing 99 herb before fire making. So when I come back to artifacts, 99 herblore will be the thing that I'm focusing on, not fire making. I will still be stopping at level 85 just because I want to get 1.5 tick woodcutting out of the way. And I mean, it's a round number. It's a nice number to stop at, especially because when I come back, I don't have to worry about boosting my stat to make the pot anymore. So I could just jump right in and dive in and do these till 99. So there we go. There's 85 herbs. So honestly, I will end the video in terms of skilling here. So now let's revisit to see how far the account progressed in the past week, even though I don't have the stats at the beginning. So here are my current stats. This is about a month since I made the account. I'm trying to play as much as I can. It's hard between working full time slash taking a class for college, but I mean, I'm doing what I can. I do want to add that I do appreciate all the support you guys are giving me. It makes it more motivating to come home after being at work for 9, 10 hours and wanting to play the game. So TY for all of that. At this point, I'm 1210 total level, but obviously you should never go by total level when measuring how far an account is. EHP is much more accurate and much more important. Here's my EHP. I'm at 101 and I need 963 to max. This means we're at a whooping 10.4% on the way to max total. That's freaking huge, guys. I don't think I'll show my EHP every episode unless you guys are interested in that. If so, let me know. The stats will 100% be shown though. If you don't fully understand what this EHP is, for now, know that I'm 10.4% on the way to a max cape. But also, I vaguely mentioned it in my first video. However, next video, I do plan on re-explaining it in depth, which actually we should dive into right now. Okay, so for episode 5, I do plan on doing this in kind of a unique way, especially now that I'm kind of just doing one skill and it turns into whatever. So basically, I'm planning on re-explaining what EHP is, and I'll go in depth about it, and why it's more important than total level when measuring max. I do plan on also showing my playtime and talk about how under slash over EHP I am and what my expectations are for the future. I also do plan to say my overall expectations on how long this will take IRL slash in-game time. I did say this in my first episode, but now that I've actually been playing, I think I have a much better idea of my expectations in the future, so I'll go into that. I will also be showing my gameplay and before slash after stats for the week. I already mentioned I'll be focusing on woodcutting. I'll show the gameplay and quickly discuss how it's going if there's anything. And finally, I'll add anything you guys want. Any misc stuff, just let me know in the comments. I'm not expecting too much in the sense of miscellaneous stuff, but I also do know that you guys had some good points on the other videos, such as telling me to show my stats slash playtime in the future. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not really on YouTube that often, watching other RuneScape videos or other videos in general, so I'm down to take any suggestions that you guys think might make this more interesting. Bear in mind, this would not be every episode. I'm just kind of considering the next episode to be like an analysis slash recap of the account so far. All of that being said, TY guys for watching, and I will see you next week. I did have to do Enlightened Journey just to get a start on the woodcutting XP for the Teaks for my next episode, so stay tuned. Peace out.